Good morning. Today is the 16th of January, the year 2018. I'm Harry Ziegler, a volunteer here in Palm Springs Air Museum in Palm Springs, California. As part of the Library of Congress project in Washington, D.C., we conduct interviews of veterans and civilians who participated in our country's military conflicts, especially World War II. And today we have the honor and the privilege of hearing the story of Sam Huttenhower, who was a corporal in the United States Marine Corps. He was an infantryman at Guadalcanal in 1942. He did get some medical problems there, and which caused him to probably be medevaced out. And give me your full name and spell it.
Okay, Samuel Alden Huttenhower, Huttenhower.
And where were you born?
In Belle Vernon, Pennsylvania.
Would you spell that for us, Melvin?
Bellevernon.
And what year was that?
1923.
And can you tell me your father's full name?
James Charles Huttenhower.
And do you know where he was born?
He was born in Belle Vernon, Pennsylvania.
And can you go a little further back? How about his father? Do you know where he was born?
As far as I know, he was born in Belle Vernon, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Is the family, does it trace back to Europe, one of the countries in Europe?
No, I didn't ever go. On my father's side, I never went back that far.
You never went back that far. And how about your mother's maiden name?
Elizabeth Sarah Huttenhower, or Tullett, Tullett.
And do you know anything about her history, her background?
No, it was her, I guess she was born in Belle Vernon or around in that area.
Do you know how your dad met your mother?
No.
And were there other siblings in the family when you showed up?
My siblings?
Yeah, your dad's. You had brothers and sisters?
He had two sisters.
But how about you? Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have two brothers and one sister.
And who was the oldest?
James Huttenhower.
And you know how old he is now?
No, he's passed on quite a while ago.
And the second brother?
Ralph Huttenhower. And he passed on at when he was 54.
And you said a sister?
Sister, and I don't know Betty, and I don't know much about her.
Sure. Now, when you were growing up, when you first remember...
Excuse me.
Sure.
Is that light supposed to be on my side? It's not on my side.
I don't see a light. Can you?
No.
You say there's a light here?
There was a light there before.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't see it now.
No.
Can you remember the first house you lived in, what it was like?
Well, it was a wide spot in the road. Nothing there except about 10 houses and a little grocery store. And that was about oh, thank you. That was about a mile, less than a mile from the Allegheny River. It was in our backyard.
Was it a dirt road?
Dirt roads all over the place.
Were there other kids in the neighborhood?
Yeah, there were kids.
Yeah.
Then we went, that was sort of, that was a place called Vista. and then we moved to Bell Vernon.
Now, the house itself, can you remember how many, whether, it was heated with a stove, or did it have a furnace, or how, can you remember the
I
heating?
remember the house was set on a side of a hill where the basement would be. There was where the
So,
breakfast was, or the kitchen was down.
in the first, kind of underground,
Yeah,
and then the second floor was where,
yeah, the
where
bedrooms
the bedroom,
in the front room and that.
and the house, can you remember how the house was heated?
Gosh, no.
You'd have
It would,
like
it
a
would
stove
be cold. It would be cold,
a coal heat,
cold heat, yeah.
and were there enough bedrooms for everyone? I mean, like, did the two brothers sleep
Well, the
together?
brothers slept in one room.
And
And my
Betty-
sister had her own room, and
the parents had,
yeah,
was that all upstairs?
yeah.
Okay,
Upstairs. I guess, I can't remember that.
sure. And was there a garden or anything for the,
No,
raise any vegetables or anything?
there
like-
wasn't much of a lawn or anything. It was very straggly.
Was your, where was your dad employed at that time?
He started out, he worked in the mines for about 2 weeks. It scared the hell out of him. Then he went to work in a machine shop.
And can you remember if you had a car?
Yeah, we always had a car of some
Do you
sort.
remember what kind it was when,
No,
you
there
know?
wasn't many kinds at that time.
Sure. And with the kids in the neighborhood, could you remember what kind of games you might have played?
No,
Like hide and go seek or kick the can? Or,
probably, but
Yeah.
I don't, I can't remember that.
can you remember whether, how old were you when you left this house and moved?
We moved from that Vista to Bell Vernon, which was across the river. When my grandfather died, he left my mother enough money that my dad could build a house over in Bell Vernon, and that's what he did.
Was he built his own house?
Yeah,
So he was also a skilled craftsman then also.
yeah. His father was a carpenter too.
Okay. Can you remember that house a little bit? Were you on the river or were you off the river?
We were off the river,
How far?
5 or 6 miles.
Oh, okay. And how old were you at this time then when you moved to the new house?
Oh, probably 4 or 5.
The house that you were in before you moved, did you rent? Do you know whether you rented that or whether you owned
We
it?
rented that.
Or you rented it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you moved to the new house, and what was it like?
It was a one-story house. It was very nice.
They have all the amenities. Do you have electricity?
Yeah, coal stove.
Coal stove?
Yeah, in the basement.
And the stove in the basement then, did you have radiant heating with radiators and things like that in the house?
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
right, or just I don't know what you call them anymore.
Sure, forced air or something.
Yeah,
Yeah. And coal bin then in the basement?
yeah,
And the daughter still had her own room,
yeah,
and the boys were all in one room,
yeah,
and mom and dad everything was on the first floor, huh?
yeah,
Now, was plumbing, city plumbing? Did you have water from the city?
yeah. City plumbing.
Did you have a sewer system? No,
Yeah.
no
Yes.
septic tank or anything?
No
Sewer-
septic tank.
And were the streets paved then?
No.
Not paved.
Just gravel or dirt.
And did you have street lights? Were there lights out there on the streets?
Gosh, I don't remember.
Sure. How about, did you have a garden at this house?
No, we did. The lot wasn't that big,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't stay long. And we moved to Pontiac, Michigan.
So the house your dad built, he sold then, is that it?
Yeah. Mhm.
Can you remember how old you were when you were 5 when you got there roughly, and how old were you?
Probably, well, I started school after we went to Michigan.
Okay, so you were still under, or 6 or under then?
Yeah, 6
Okay.
or
And at that time, had you gotten old enough to own, say, a bicycle? Did you ever own a bicycle
No,
yet?
no,
Can you remember whether you had a radio at the house?
no,
Did anyone play a musical instrument? Was there any singing or
no,
piano? Or,
no.
and the church you went to, what religion would your church have been?
I don't know if it was a Methodist or a Presbyterian church.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't Catholic.
Sure. But was it because of your mother or your dad that
My mother,
she was a churchgoer?
yeah.
So
My dad wasn't a churchgoer.
on Sunday, did all the kids and mother go to church together?
Yeah,
Dad go once in a while?
well, he drove us.
Can you remember with your mother's cooking, did you have some favorite foods that she made?
My mother was the best cook in the world. She could cook just great.
Did you have any favorite dishes she made?
No, I can't remember. Soups, and chili.
Did you have like a chicken coop or something outside where you could have your own chickens
Later on, we had some chickens
in Michigan?
in Michigan. Yeah.
Okay. And you say you started school there, you got to the first grade,
Yeah.
and so your older brothers then, they were further on up the line
Yeah.
in school.
Yeah. They're about 2 years apart.
Um,
Kids.
you would that make the older brother 4 years older?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was pretty well up in grade school then.
Yeah.
And what was the reason for your dad leaving the home he built?
Just that he wanted to get situated in a place where he can stay and continue working at the same place.
Well, what was he doing in the new home? What was his job then?
I don't know what he was doing there when he, whether it was machine work or what.
Yeah, well, as a carpenter, he might have been doing that too. Can you remember the car at all at that place?
I know that we went to Michigan in the car, but imagine 4 kids in the back seat.
Oh yeah. How about going outside with other kids? Was it a good neighborhood with other kids?
Our first home in Michigan, I can't remember too much about it.
Did your mom do any canning? Did she do?
Yeah, she canned food.
Was that in the new home, or was that when you got to Michigan?
When we got to Michigan.
Okay, so
It seems like we got to Michigan and
that's okay.
29. I
Okay.
was about 6 years old.
And so do you remember what it was like, the roads and everything, going up to Michigan and with 4 in the back seat?
Well, something happened to the car, and I don't know quite what it was. But we had to go to a garage. And I remember my dad pulling a bottle of whiskey out and offering the mechanic a drink. He says, I'll give, maybe you'll lower the prices if I give him a drink of booze.
Yeah. Well, to each his own, you know, it might have worked. So what did you kids do while the car was being worked on?
I don't know what the hell we did.
Did you have a pet with you at all, a dog or
No,
anything?
no, we didn't have a dog at that time.
And
We left the dog in Pennsylvania.
could you remember whether you stayed overnight on that trip? Or did you try to make it all in one shot?
All one shot.
No stop?
Yeah, I think it was between 250 and 400 miles.
Yeah. What were the roads like? Can you remember? Were there any
No.
paved roads, or were they all?
No, they were paved.
They were paved.
Yeah, the main roads were paved.
Were there 2 lanes?
Yeah, 2 lanes.
Just 2-lane roads.
Yeah.
And why, when he got to Michigan, did he have to look for a job, or did he have something, a relative
Well,
there? Any
No,
relative?
he had to look for a job, and he went to work for Pontiac Motor as a
But-
machinist.
But no relatives there to go visit or see,
No.
or no? He just went there.
Yeah.
So did he rent?
Well, that was where the cars were manufactured at that time.
Sure.
Was outside of Pontiac and Detroit.
So he's then with General Motors, and you're now in grade school, and so you start a new school.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah.
And is it a public school?
Public school. And it was a couple of miles from the house. We lived close to a lake. And in the wintertime, when the lake froze over, that would be a shortcut to the school. And I remember one time coming home in the wintertime and walking across the lake. And I was so cold, I started to cry, and my tears froze.
Well, you're pretty far north in Michigan, you know.
Yeah,
That's not like being, Pennsylvania's cold, but not like Michigan.
no,
So, do you have a teacher now you remember from that school?
no, that was grade school, and I just remember the damn thing was about a mile and a half to walk.
Uh-huh.
We didn't have buses.
And would you walk with your other brothers
No, I walked by myself.
all by yourself? No other kids around the neighborhood to go?
No,
You didn't buddy up?
I
or
remember going by myself all the time.
anything? And did you like school? Was it interesting?
Yeah, I liked school. I was never good, even to in high school, but I was just dumb.
Now, the house that you're in now in Michigan, did your dad rent that one then?
No, he bought that.
He bought the house.
Yeah,
And
he, he bought a gravel truck. At that time, they were in a high demand for the gravel roads. So he bought a gravel truck and went to a gravel pit, load up, and take it to a road.
So was that in addition to his job with Pontiac?
No, he did that first.
First,
And then that's when the Depression started. And he lost the truck, he lost the house, he lost his bank account. And the city put us in a house and give us a casserine.
they gave you a pittance of some kind to live on? They gave you money?
They give us groceries,
Groceries.
yeah.
And did that mean that the kids had to go find jobs to help out?
There was nothing,
There were no jobs.
no jobs.
And
We were flat on our ass.
what was,
I had scarlet fever, and I went to a hospital for people with diseases, and I was there for some time, I don't know how long, but they told my mother to bring his good clothes
he might not live?
and to take him home. Well, my good clothes was blue jeans with a patch. That's how bad things were.
I had scarlet fever too,
Did you?
and it was a pretty serious
Oh,
disease. I mean,
yeah.
it was brutal.
High fever.
Yeah. Did it leave any things that you lived with as you got older, or did you escape with nothing wrong?
I don't really know whether mentally it seemed like I burnt out.
My sister had to have her ears lanced. She had it so bad.
No kidding.
Doctor came to the house and lanced her ears. And I was in bed so long, I had trouble walking after I got over it. It was like, that's how bad it was when I had it.
You didn't go to the hospital?
No, they kept me there. The doctor came to our house.
Oh.
It was,
This
They
is
didn't
a
want me-
hospital for diseases.
no, that didn't happen to me. I specifically remember I was 5 years old. You know, I remember after I got over it, standing at the front door, asking my mom if she would let, if I had had a bath, I had to wait an hour before I could go outside.
Oh,
That was just a rule. And I say, how much time left? And this was after I was able to go out for the first few times after having scarlet fever.
Yeah.
And it's a thrill to get outside again. But it's a serious disease. You're lucky you got away with any minor or major things.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Was anyone else in the family? Did they come
No.
up with it?
No, we got it.
And so the hospital then, your mom had to come see you at the hospital then.
And that was quite a trip. That must have been 10 miles or something like that.
You lost the car then, the truck.
Yeah.
So did you ride a bus or something to get there?
No, we had a car, I guess,
By then,
by then, yeah.
okay. And maybe your dad had gotten back to work or something?
That was... No, I think we were still in depression. I mean, he was out of work.
So he was home all the time then, is that it?
Yeah. Well, no, he had to work for the city
Oh, to get the benefits?
to get the benefits.
Sure.
Yeah. He did get paid.
Yeah. So he did time with, you can remember what he did with the city? Anything in particular?
No, I don't remember anything he did, but
I'm going to guess with his skills, he would have been in something that was mechanical
yeah,
with the city.
I would think so.
Now, how did the other kids, what did they do?
No, they were all right. They didn't catch the damn.
But I mean,
Oh.
what was left for them to do if there was no work? How did they participate in anything? They still went to school? Was school still?
Yeah, I think they went to school.
So they were still going to school.
Yeah,
And your sister was fine. She was.
yeah.
Could you remember what you were eating in those days? What kind of food you might have had?
Very basic foods. And what? They cut our gas off and gave us a kerosene stove. But my dad, in some way, he used a garden hose to bypass the inlet.
The shut-off?
Yeah, the shut-off. And so my mother, we moved the stove down in the basement. And the kerosene stove was upstairs in the kitchen. And we were always careful to make sure we didn't, when some inspection came, to see how we were doing. And we made sure that the gas was turned off then and disassembled.
Take the hose off?
Yeah.
When it came to clothes during the Depression, was your mother sewing? Did she make clothes and things for you and the girl, the daughter?
I don't remember. I think she did, but I really don't remember anymore.
Was there you say there might have been a chicken coop or something when you got to Michigan?
Yeah, we might have had chickens. I'm not sure of that, really.
Can you remember any of the kind of, you said the foods were kind of basic. Can you remember anything about any of the foods?
No.
Were you still going to church with your mother?
Yeah,
Was the church involved at all in helping?
no.
I'm assuming they didn't get any money.
They're in
Yeah.
bad shape too.
Yeah. Did you still have a radio at home to listen to?
Yeah, I remember, I don't quite know, that 5 o'clock, there's the news, And everybody had to shut up. My dad sat next to the radio to listen to this commentator, and I forget what the hell his name was. But
Could have been Edward R. Murrow.
every day it was the
Could
same
have been
way.
Edward R. Murrow. One.
Huh?
Could have been Edward R. Murrow.
I think it could have been him or before his time even.
Sure. Did you have a magazine or a newspaper, anything else besides the radio?
I don't think so.
And were there other neighbors that were in the same? I mean, did you have a rich neighbor, or were they all poor neighbors?
All poor.
And everyone was the same way. Was the city helping them? And
Yeah,
I mean,
welfare.
because they paid your rent then if you were in a rental house.
Yeah.
And,
Well, they probably owned the property.
yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah, fell back. So can you remember when things changed? When you're living in the same clothes, you don't have new shoes. At some point, things get a little better. I'm assuming your dad eventually got a job.
Yeah, he eventually got a job. I think he got a job at General Motors
Was that in Detroit or Pontiac?
in Pontiac.
Right.
Yeah.
You were closer to Pontiac.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, well, all this was going on. Were there, like the Michigan football team or the, anything?
At that time, I didn't.
Anything to follow or anything?
I didn't follow anything.
Anything to make you feel better? That the things weren't so bad.
No.
You got water here if you need it.
Yeah, I just had a sip.
Okay. So it sounds to me like it was a pretty bleak life.
Oh, it was a horrible life.
Yeah, it went on for a couple of years.
Went on too long.
So when your dad finally got a job, what was the big turnaround in the family? What started happening? Were the brothers, either one of the brothers, able to get a job then too?
No. No. I don't think we had much of a job until I come home from the war.
What was a birthday like during the Depression when someone had a birthday? Would there be a little special meal or a little
No.
cake or anything?
No.
Nothing.
It was just, you got by, but that's it.
I can remember that with my mom, potato soup was really big
Yeah,
in those late years or early years, and that spaghetti
the navy beans.
and beans.
Yeah,
And I can remember that 25 cents was a lot of money
yeah,
to go to the store to buy something.
yeah.
You could get bread and milk and all kinds of things for a quarter.
My brothers used to steal cigarette packs of cigarettes. But at that time, they were maybe 6 cents a pack. You know. But they had the habit, and
They were hooked.
they were hooked.
Yeah. I can remember it was 10 cents in the machines when I grew up. And it was a picture of an airplane on the back of them.
Yeah,
I didn't want cigarettes, I just wanted the airplane picture. That was a lot of money though,
yeah.
a lot of money.
Uh,
Now, was there a grocery store then nearby where you could go and start
Yeah.
shopping and get food?
Within a few weeks, a few blocks, 6 blocks or something
And
like
how
that.
about school? How far was school then? Still a mile and a half?
Yeah, at least.
And was the school heated all the time or during the Depression? Can you remember what it was?
I don't remember.
I'm sure you had clothes, nice warm clothes.
Yeah,
It might not have
You
been
had-
too good
you had 2 sets of clothes, summer clothes and
in winter clothes.
winter clothes.
What happened now? Would they pass down the boys' clothes from one
Yeah.
the older boy to the younger,
Yeah.
the shoes and everything?
Yeah. By the time it got to me, I had a lot of patches.
And the kind of the coming back to life. Can you remember any of the a treat that you know, maybe at a candy bar, or you could go to a movie, or
Well, you know, I think my mom used to buy some chocolate of some sort, but she'd hide it just for herself. Because you put it in a bowl and it'd be gone and with 4 kids.
oh, I'm sure, yeah. Well, was she able though to start, you know, baking and
Yeah,
serving better meals and?
She baked her own bread, and that's really why we had to get the gas, because it's you can regulate the heat. With kerosene stove, you can't regulate
Get hot
the
enough,
heat.
yeah. So, but the city, I'm really impressed with what the city did, because there were a lot of people that they were taking care of.
Yeah.
And for them, you probably didn't have to pay your utility bills, or
No.
the water was not, you didn't have to pay for that. And did you have a refrigerator? Was it an icebox?
Icebox.
So the iceman, you probably had to pay the iceman, or
Yeah.
did he come around free?
I don't know whether, gosh, it's so long ago, whether the icemen actually come or you go to the store and buy the ice.
Yeah,
I doubt if it was delivered.
okay. Because that was, you know, in your era, that was the way the milk came around on a wagon.
Yeah, that's
and-
right, yeah.
And
In bottles,
so did the fruit. The guy come around with a wagon
Yeah.
with the fruit
Yeah.
on it.
yeah.
And did you ever reach a point where you had a bicycle yet?
I can't remember where I first got my bicycle. I think it was, no, I was older. I was past 10.
Was it a hand-me-down from a
No,
brother?
I think it was a new bicycle.
A new bicycle.
Yeah.
Was
We
it,
had moved several times.
was it a Christmas present maybe, or birthday
Yeah,
present?
birthday present.
Birthday present.
Yeah.
So
My
you're about
dad
10
did it.
years old when you,
And my dad said, "I'll show you something." He crawls up on the bicycle backward and rode. He thought he was so smart.
were the streets always paved then, wherever you went?
Yeah,
And
that
you
was
had a-
later on. The streets were,
But you had a place to play. You go out in the street
yeah.
and do things. You remember some of the things you kids started to do when you got a little older, and any kind of games you played?
No, a lot of card games.
Card?
Card games
What kind? Was this the family or with the kids?
with the family. Yeah, and I don't really remember. We used to, whether we had a basket ball or not, but I don't remember having one.
No garden yet. No garden in the
No.
backyard. And did you get a job like delivering newspapers or magazines?
Well, after my teens, in my teens sometime I got a paper route. And,
In your own neighborhood?
yeah, in my neighborhood. But I have to walk down to downtown to where the paper was made, fold the papers, and then walk back and deliver them.
You remember how much you got for delivering for a week?
15 cents.
15 cents for a week.
Yeah, for a week. Yeah.
And the school, are you getting interested in anything now in school? Any?
No, I wasn't a good student. I don't know why. Maybe that scarlet fever affected me. I fried my brain.
Could your mother or any of the kids help you with your homework when you got home? Like your sister or your older brothers? Did they help it out?
Can't remember that.
Did your brothers get jobs? Did they had things to do?
They had, I don't know what their jobs was, but they always had something to do.
So I'm assuming they contributed a little to the family to help out.
I quit school, I think in the the 11th grade. And I went to a CC camp for 6 months or so. And my dad says, when I got out of there, if you're not going to school, you've got to get a job.
Can you explain what CCC camp was
Civilian Conservation Corps.
and what did you do?
Just straighten things up and build fences.
Was this in parks and places like that? Or?
Yeah. And maintenance work.
But you got free room and board for
Room and board, yeah.
Did
And a token,
a little bit of money.
yeah.
Okay. Did you meet some friends there that you kept later on?
No,
No.
no. They were for all,
All over.
yeah.
Well, back home, the radio is still a major instrument in what's going on. Can you remember whether your dad still made everyone be quiet when the news came on?
Yeah, always.
Did you? Would he let you watch
It
some
might
of
have
it?
been Edward R. Murrow.
Well, maybe when it got close to the war, yes.
Yeah.
Because he was in London, I think, broadcasting when the bombing.
Oh,
But anyway, the radio, to me, there wasn't no TV.
no.
I mean, we had
There's programs,
all kinds of kid programs
Yeah,
on the radio.
yeah.
Can you remember any of them?
No.
I mean, was it Lone Ranger or
Lone Ranger,
Little Orphan Annie or
Orphan, those things, yeah.
Tom Mix?
Yeah.
With the Breakfast of Champions.
I don't know about that one.
I think it was Ralston, Hot Ralston.
No.
Did you have anything like that to look forward to, where at a certain time, like most of the kids had to come in when it got dark?
Yeah.
You could play. So did you have street lights now, finally, where?
I have trouble
Sure. Getting to the right time period.
the time frame.
Yeah, sure.
Before I joined the Corps in January of '42, things were looking pretty good,
Well,
work-wise.
Your dad said you had to get a job when you quit school,
Yeah,
so you never graduated from high school. Is that,
no.
So you started a job. What was that job you got after you quit school?
I don't know.
I remember it. It was like everything else. You didn't make much.
No. There wasn't much money then.
Can you remember? Are you still going to the Methodist church and with the mother and all the
Yeah.
rest of the kids? That's still a thing you did.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever take up an instrument or a musical thing in the family?
My sister got a piano and took piano lessons.
So you had a piano in one of the homes.
Yeah. That was before before '42.
Okay. So, is your family, with no real solid contacts to Europe, are they in '39 when Hitler went into Poland and started the World War in Europe? Was that discussed or come up in the house at all? Can you remember that?
Well, I wasn't thinking much about the war until Pearl Harbor.
Can you remember where you were when Pearl Harbor was attacked?
Yeah. I was up at the corner drugstore where I hung out with the slankster skanksters. Slankster owned the drugstore. And he had a soda fountain, of course. And we was up there on a Sunday, seems to me.
That's when it was, yeah.
That's when it happened. And we just couldn't believe it.
Did you hear it at the drugstore?
Yeah,
At the
that's
store?
when I heard about it.
So you and the boys, the neighborhood boys, were
Yes.
at the drugstore on Sunday. Had you been to church already, or you?
No, I don't even remember if I went to church
Yeah.
that day.
So did you run home and
No, just stayed up at the, everyone, guys kept trickling in,
and Harry?
and so the conversation kept going over and over and over about Pearl Harbor.
And what then went through your mind about being at war?
Join.
You wanted to join.
I wanted to join.
Was it because you wanted to be in the war, or was it a combination of things, like you didn't like your job?
No, it was
You
all
wanted
that I.
Was your buddy doing the same thing? They were joining up?
I can't remember what the heck we were doing at that time, but we were working, doing something, and I was 19.
Where did you have to go to enlist?
From Pontiac, my friend and I hitchhiked down to Detroit. There was no recruiter in Pontiac, so we hitchhiked down to Detroit and joined the Marines.
Now, while you were still not in the service, were professional football teams becoming popular at that time? Can you remember whether they were back playing sports?
I just remember baseball,
Baseball.
the Tigers.
But you said you played baseball too. Was
Yeah.
that in high school?
And well, we had leagues, city leagues,
Oh,
and I played
in the city. What position?
catcher, catcher and outfielder. Yeah. Catcher's a dangerous place.
Oh boy, I guess. So you go to Detroit and enlist,
Yeah.
and was there any trouble with the physical, with having had scarlet fever?
No,
Did they bring that up at all?
no, I
Didn't even mention it.
didn't even mention it.
And how about your buddy? Did you both pass?
Yeah, we both passed and went down to Paris Island.
Well, they had to go home first, didn't you? I mean,
No, we didn't go back home.
you didn't have anything with you, did you? Did you have?
No, just the clothes on our back.
And that was it.
That was it. We hitchhiked to Detroit.
And so after they enlisted you, you passed the physical, they enlisted you. What did they do with you to get you out of there?
Well, we stayed overnight and then took a train and went down to
The PI.
PI.
And can you remember, I mean, you were getting fed, was it a barracks type situation? Or did they
I
put
don't
you in a
remember.
hotel, or?
I think it was a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, hotel. I don't know if there was motels in there or not.
Can you remember the train ride down there with all those
No.
guys, all those
No.
civilian kids?
No, I can't remember that.
How about when you got to Paris Island and you walked out the bus or the train or whatever you were on, and you met your first sergeant?
Oh my God. That guy started swearing at me right away. You know, what were you in?
Marines?
You were a Marine?
Yeah. Yeah, I enlisted in '52. So,
There's a lady here.
what's that? Go ahead. Can you remember some of the things that the drill sergeant said to you at all?
No,
How
he
much
just scared the hell out of me.
Well, he was the same way with the other guys, wasn't he?
Yeah, with everybody. He's probably that way with his mother.
Well, did he, somewhere along the line you got a haircut, you got some
He
Marine
had
clothes,
short hair.
and you got a Marine clothes. How long did it take you did he march you right in and get all that stuff done right at the beginning?
I don't remember that. I just remember that he just forced us into doing everything, one thing after another. You couldn't say a word back. He'd crawl all over you and swear.
They're usually pretty big guys. They're a lot bigger than a lot of the recruits. Yeah, that kind of puts the word of God in you. Now,
I don't know that he was that big,
When,
but he was powerful.
so you learned to march
Yeah,
and go left face, right face,
yeah.
about face,
Forward march.
all that.
Yeah,
You started doing calisthenics and
yeah.
push-ups and all that. And pretty soon you go to the rifle range.
Yeah.
What was it like when you first went to the rifle range? Had you ever shot
I
rifle?
never had a gun in my hands.
and never had a gun?
No. And there again, it was the '03. And we went also on a pistol. We did a pistol shoot too.
Was it a 45?
Yeah.
And how'd you do in firing?
I did okay in the firing range.
At that point, did you qualify for any of the shooting badges, or did you have to wait until you were a Marine before you could get a shooting badge?
Yeah.
You had to wait.
After when I was
So boot camp was what, 3 months maybe?
3 months. Let's
And
see. Well, we joined the Corps the 1st of January. No, it was 1 month.
1 month of boot?
Yeah, because I went overseas in April in San Diego from New River, North Carolina. We took a train ride over to San Diego and left in April to go overseas.
So you only had 4 weeks of boot?
Yeah, I think it was just 4 weeks ago.
Well, they were in a hurry.
And then we got up and up to what they call Tent City in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And that's where Camp Lejeune is now.
Where did you go to get on the train to come to San Diego? You remember that?
We went down to Wellington,
Mm.
North Carolina.
No. Now, are you going with your buddies? Are you going as a group together, or are you all by yourself again?
No, all the whole company.
Oh, okay. So you're in a company now.
Yeah,
Have they assigned you to the 1st Marine Division at this point, or are you just
we were 3rd Battalion 7.
on the East Coast? You were already.
On the
So you
East Coast.
formed up with the battalion then
Yeah,
after boot camp.
yeah. We went into odd jobs, learning a lot of stuff. I was even, I was back there twice. But it was Tent City.
And then the battalion then went on the
That's-
train as a battalion
We
together.
went as a battalion.
And now, were you already in a squad or in a?
Yeah, it was in the L Company. They formed it. As soon as I got to Tent City, I was assigned to L Company.
And what regiment was that? Can you
That
remember?
was the 7th Regiment.
7th Regiment. So you were one of the battalions of the 7th Regiment.
Yeah, 3rd Battalion.
Okay. And of the 1st Marines.
Yeah.
So you take a train. I bet that was fun going all the
Yeah,
way
that
across
was
the
great.
United
That was
States.
great.
It was about 4 days, wasn't it, to get across the country?
Yeah, but we had food. That was the main thing in life, was food.
You remember trying to sleep on those wooden benches in those trains?
Yeah.
Um,
I don't remember that too much.
when you got to San Diego then, you shipped out pretty quick?
Yeah, we weren't there very long. We went practically from the train to the boat, or the ship.
And was this in San Diego where the ship was? Did you leave
Yeah.
from San Diego?
San Diego. I
And-
remember when we were boarding ship, one of the Marines was standing, shouting, don't go, they're going to kill you." He lost it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it was
Um,
terrible.
That's true. It was not going to be nice.
No,
There was no fun coming.
but you had confidence in yourself and in
The guys you
the
were
guy
with.
next to you.
Yeah. And did the ship stop in Hawaii?
No. We
Once
went to Samoa,
Samoa.
American Samoa,
Okay.
and American Samoa, the ship could pull right into the harbor.
But did they offload? Or
And
did they?
then we stayed aboard ship for a while and went on work details. I don't know exactly about what we did, except that we moved cargo around from on cargo ships and moved it from one ship to another.
Can you remember how they bunked you on that ship? What your bunk was like on the?
No,
Do you
No.
remember whether you were on the bottom bunk, the top bunk, the middle
yeah,
bunk?
there was either it was a two or three.
Well, it went up to 3.
Yeah,
And
I thought there were 3.
a lot of times the bigger guys got the bottom because they were bigger.
I don't remember that, but I remember.
Did you have any idea what was ahead of you, where you were going, what was in what the battalion was going to be
No.
doing?
No,
Where was the rest of the regiment? Where were they?
I don't know. I don't think they left the States.
Okay, so your battalion was the first one to leave of that
Yeah,
regiment. And as I remember it, tell me where you went from on that ship after you left Samoa.
went to Wallace Island.
Wallace?
Yeah, I call it French Samoa.
Okay.
It's not too far from Samoa. It's a couple of days. And made a combat landing there. But there was no Japs. There was,
Did you have
huh?
vehicles on the ship to drop in the water and make a landing with?
We had boats.
So the ship you were on was an attack type cargo ship with you had the landing craft infantry
Yeah,
on that ship. They could put them in the water and you could
yeah. You climb down the
And-
net.
the net and make a
Yeah.
okay. I
You
didn't.
ever climb down a net?
No.
Oh God.
It's scary.
Yeah. It's okay if you're close to shore, but if you're 2 miles out,
And all that surf.
because of the reef, they couldn't come in.
So you
And you
practice.
climb down. Everything you own is on your back with your rifle, and you're climbing down the big net, and you look down, and that's the last time you look down. You keep your eyes up.
Oh, listen, there were guys that lost their grip and fell into the bottom of those landing craft. They got hurt.
Yeah,
Now, so you make a practice landing, one.
yeah.
Was it the whole battalion? Or was it just
That was the whatever. Yeah, it was a battalion.
so you practice that, you go back aboard ship, and then you pull up the anchor, and where do you go?
British Samoa. We went to British Samoa. See, this was supposed to be a combat thing. So we went to British Samoa to reorganize, I guess. And there's another place that you the reef is too high for the ships, so you have to go
So
down and
After you made that first practice landing, then you go to British Samoa.
yeah.
What do you do there? Do you do another practice landing, or
No, we did some drills, and I don't know how long we were there.
did they let you do any rifle practicing while you're aboard ship? Would they
No.
throw something out and
No,
you could shoot it?
no.
But one thing we didn't talk about was the fact that you guys had M1s. Why don't you describe the M1 a little bit? The rifle.
I never fired an M1.
But you did when you were in basic training, right?
No. I never had a.
You never fired?
Never fired an M1, no.
Oh, no, I mean the old,
In basic, no.
okay. When did you first fire it?
I never did fire an M1. From Guadalcanal, I went to Australia and then stayed in the hospital for 4 months in Australia. And they shipped me back to San Diego.
But you did have an Enfield, right? A bolt-action rifle?
Yeah,
And that's what you qualified with
yeah,
in basic?
yeah.
Okay. What did you call it?
Huh?
What was your name? What did the guys call that?
03.
Oh, 03. Okay. Yeah, I was off on my designation. It should have been 03. And that's what you qualified with.
Yeah.
And that's, so after British Samoa, you go where?
After British Samoa, then we went to Guadalcanal.
You didn't stop in New Zealand or
No.
Australia, you went right?
Direct and made a combat landing
So you joined up then with a task force,
with
or other
the,
ships? When
with
you
the
were
division.
When you were traveling, were you a single ship, or were there other ships with you?
I think it was just a single ship.
Just a single
Yeah,
attack transport?
yeah.
So then, when do you start getting briefed on what's going to happen then when you land at Guadalcanal?
Well, other than we were making a combat landing, there wasn't much said.
No briefings or anything, right?
I don't remember them.
I mean, there were Japanese soldiers on that island.
Yeah, and we went to, but this was a month after the original landing. August, they landed there. And we went to a place called Bloody Ridge. And the first night we had a firefight, just among ourselves.
What do you mean?
Someone started firing.
And everyone else started firing?
Everyone started firing. And the company Kirk got killed. Horrible. I don't know. We were on the ground. We were in the foxhole. We were just laying on the ground. And something happened and a firefight started.
Can you remember why they called it Bloody Ridge?
Yeah, a Raider battalion had a hell of a battle there.
Were any of the names starting to pop up, like Mitchell Page, who got the Medal of Honor there? Any of those?
No, I don't.
Barcelona, any of those names getting passed around yet?
No, I didn't know about Mitchell Page till I moved out to the valley here.
Sure. So when you're there at Bloody Ridge, then did you have an opportunity to engage the Japanese while you were there?
Not really. We went. Only on a small basis. Like one time we went on a 2-day patrol. And we were sleeping on the top of a hill that night. And one of the guys said, "Sir, I got one." And whoever sir was says, "Shoot him." And then the next thing happens is, "Sir, you didn't kill him." And then sir says, "You're making too much noise. Use a knife." I'll never forget that.
Well, so then how long were you there before you got elephantitis? And
On Wallace Island, I got elephantitis.
what's that?
And on Wallace Island, there was no elephantitis as far as I know on Guadalcanal.
Well, on Wallace Island, we didn't talk about.
Yeah,
That's where you got it.
yeah.
So you were over that when you got to Guadalcanal.
Well,
That's okay.
filariasis, which is elephantitis, it takes about 3 years to be solid before you start swelling up your arms or your neck or your legs. And so that's where there were a lot of natives with elephantitis. But on the canal, I never met any natives.
But you didn't have a health problem there at Guadalcanal?
No, I didn't have
You were
that.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
so
I remember one time, one of my buddies had malaria so bad he was staggering. And I said, how come it isn't in sick bay? He says, because we need him on the line. Poor devil was so sick with malaria.
It got a lot of the pilots. They were throwing up in their masks, oxygen masks. They had it so bad.
Yeah.
Had to be pulled off. So then tell me a little bit more about how long were you on the canal?
From September to January.
Which was pretty much
Uh,
a lot of heavy fighting went on during that time.
Not too much.
Really?
Yeah, the heavy fighting really was in the first month. The kid I joined the service was in the first regiment, and he landed in combat. But mostly we were pushing inward all the time when I got there. We weren't.
So
There were still Japanese there. Just before we left Guadalcanal, I was assigned to guard some grave diggers.
they were Japanese?
No, our grave diggers. It was about a mile in front of the lines. And when we got there were 4 dead Marines, young kids, and their bodies were swollen. What's those blowflies?
Oh yeah.
Was all over the bodies.
Yeah.
It was what happened was just beyond where they were. There's a clump of trees, and snipers were in the trees and killed 4 guys right together. They're all dead, stacked together, loaded till hell wouldn't have it. Maggots coming out of their mouth. It was a horrible sight.
And so the Marines were burying them there.
Yeah, yeah.
Did they have a procedure to mark the graves so they could come back?
Yes.
And
Just, so many miles from distance,
yeah.
west, east, west, and all that.
Were you there then when the Army came ashore?
No, I don't remember that. I was going to tell you another thing about it.
Sure,
I was out wandering around in front of the lines. We were in a jungle like where we were living, and I started wandering around, and I ran into a Japanese cemetery. And what they would do, they would take a limb off a tree and carve all the information on the limb and stick it where they buried the guy. And we didn't do anything like that.
Well, they had some huge losses. I mean, they could lose 1,000
Yeah.
guys in a battle compared to the Americans. I mean, we lost our share, but nothing like the Japanese.
Oh, yeah. They were annihilated.
They were. And did you get there along the river where our line was for a while?
I crossed the river.
Okay,
We went across the river on a 2-day patrol.
okay.
Guadalcanal.
That's where a lot of the Japanese were on the other side of
Yeah.
on that river. We lost some guys too that went ashore, and I don't know whether it was a squad size or it was about maybe 2 squads, and all of a sudden there were Japanese everywhere, and they damn near wiped out the whole group of them. Only 2 or 3 of them survived that.
Yeah.
And so they were there to fight. The Japanese were.
Yeah.
Now, were
Well,
you
they would rather die than, I think,
were you around where you might have received the artillery that the Japanese ships were firing into
No.
Guadalcanal?
no,
Could you hear it?
I didn't hear it.
You didn't. You never knew that all the damage that was going into
No.
the airfield and those places.
No, we were probably a mile out in front of the airfield. In fact, I seen Chesty Puller. I was down at the airfield for whatever reason, and Chesty was going out with a squad.
Right?
The scout was out in front of him. Then here comes Chesty, and he's got a 45 in his hand. It's typical. He's he's like God at the Marine Corps.
Absolutely, yeah. No, he was one of the names in the Marine Corps,
Yeah,
along with some other ones. But yeah, the Marines had some major battles there, and you stated all that happened before you got there.
yeah, mostly
All before.
before.
By the time you got to December, was things pretty much under control?
Yeah, nothing happening.
In December then.
No, I didn't hear any firing at all.
So, when then? When did they decide to take the Marines out? Can you remember when you left? Whether you left as part of did the whole battalion leave at the same time?
Yes, and we went to Melbourne, Australia.
Was it for R&R a little bit?
Yeah,
Or
R&R. We were outside the city. As I understand it, the 1st Regiment went to Melbourne, the 7th Regiment went to Melbourne, and the 5th Regiment went to New Zealand for R&R.
The 1st Marine Division was also there in New Zealand training for Tarawa. My brother-in-law was there for 9 months training for Tarawa in New Zealand.
Oh,
And so then he made Tarawa, Saipan, Tinian, Okinawa before he got wounded. It was he had a tough time. But so when they pulled you out, then when you got to Australia, you were still 1st Marines, right?
yeah.
And did you get into any? They took the Rangers from Guadalcanal and filled them in with the 1st Marines in New Zealand before they went to Tarawa.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When you got to New Zealand, where did you go after that? I mean, did you?
When we got to
Australia.
Australia,
Yeah.
what happened is we were outside the city in a tent, and we got examined, and the doctor says I had elephantitis. So they shipped me to the hospital, the Army hospital,
In Australia.
In Australia, yeah, the Army hospital in Australia for 4 months.
So then your battalion was gone then?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're a lone Marine there.
Well, there are other guys in the hospital, yeah.
But I'm saying then you get orders as a single Marine to go somewhere?
No.
How do you join up then with a Marine unit from there?
No.
No? They sent
No.
you home? How did you get?
After 4 months, they sent us. I went to the hospital in San Diego,
Ah,
but we weren't in the hospital. We were in. There's a zoo outside of San Diego, a big park,
yeah.
and there's some big buildings, and they put us on cots.
So you're still on a medical release. You're not able to go back and be in combat again.
No.
Okay.
It wasn't that I wasn't able. It was the fact that they didn't know what the hell to expect from. They didn't even know elephantitis. I'll tell you a little story. We used to hitchhike from San Diego up to L.A. to get free meals on the weekends.
Free one?
Free meals.
Oh, free meal.
Free.
Yeah, free meals. F-R-E-E?
No.
Free.
Yeah, F-R-E. And
Was that at the USO or something like
yeah,
that?
we'd go to the USOs and that,
Okay.
you know. And Sunday morning, we'd hitchhike. I usually had a buddy, and we'd hitchhike out to Beverly Hills. And the Beverly Hills Hotel gave us free breakfast. I met a lady there. She was an English lady who was setting out to war. She was 29 years old.
Well, how old are you?
And I was 20.
I was going to say you can't be much more than 21 or so.
Or 21, but she wouldn't let me in her. She was living at the hotel. Her family was in the film business over in England. And she called around to find out if it was contagious. And no one in the United States could help her. So she sent a letter over to the London Hospital of Tropical Diseases, and they told her that it wasn't contagious. So I started sleeping with the broad. She was just beautiful, just such an...
What happened to her?
Well, she went back to England. The last time she married a diplomat. And the last time I knew about her, she was in Australia. And her husband was a diplomat from England.
Was what?
He's a diplomat from England.
Oh, in Australia.
In Australia, yeah.
Well, the English in Australia weren't that popular.
Well, Australia was established with convicts. Did you know that?
Yeah, they called the Brits pummy bees.
Huh?
They called the Brits pummy bees,
Yeah.
which was not an endearing term.
Well, it's okay now. I think it
Oh yeah.
it's all settled down.
But so you're really all by yourself now. The battalion's gone.
Yeah,
You're assigned to the hospital,
yeah.
and you're one of their patients. And at some point, then they say, "Okay, fun and games are over. You're going stateside."
Yeah.
And that's when you end up at tent camp.
No, I got assigned to after the hospital in San Diego. I got sent up to San Francisco, up to the what would you call that place?
Was it a
where they-
hotel?
Huh?
Was it a hotel?
No, it was they stock things there, lumber and everything, was
Oh.
in huge volumes to ship out,
Was it
just
yeah.
on guard duty.
In San Francisco?
Yeah,
So it's across the street, the bay with Port of Oakland, where all the ships, and then you had the Navy shipyards there on the San Francisco side, and then up at the Carquinez Straits they had.
this was I was guarding a huge lumber yard there.
I'll be darned.
There's quite a concession of Marines up there.
So you then were assigned to a duty there with one of the guard companies. Is that it? You were an MP per se.
Yeah,
You became an MP.
yeah. They didn't call us MPs.
Were you still carrying your 03? Or did they give you a different weapon? Were you carrying the M1 by then?
No, 03. I never had an M1.
Well, they credited the M1 and the Jeep, the two things that won World War II.
Yeah.
Now, are you contacting or keeping in touch with your family at home? Are you able to call them and talk to them
At that time?
when you're in San Diego or
No.
in San Francisco?
No.
No contact? They didn't even know you were stateside, huh?
Well, probably by letter.
By letter.
By letter. We lived ashore in San Francisco. We got per diem.
You were, but was that in a military situation or were you in civilian quarters?
That was just military.
Military.
Yeah.
So this is taking you into when then? 43, 44? You said you were in through 44?
43, probably.
43?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I went to about 4 places after I got discharged. I got shipped over down to Kingsville,
Texas?
Texas.
To the air station? Or to,
Yeah, the substation.
okay, the substation.
Yeah, from Corpus Christi.
Okay.
King's Ranch was it was called, the city was called Kingsville, but that was right next to King's Ranch, where the auxiliary field was. They were training pilots.
Yeah. And again, are you with the guard company? Your guard duty?
Yeah, I was guarding a gate.
Okay. And then after that, what happens? You're still in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Where do you go from there?
Where did we go? Went back to North Carolina and did combat.
Camp Lejeune?
Yeah, back at Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
And we just showed recruits about combat.
Now, for a guy who was at Guadalcanal in combat, you were like a god to those boots
Yeah.
at Lejeune. So you had a lot of power in
I don't know that.
what you did and said.
Yeah.
And were you still with the guard company then?
No. It was like a show company. What's the word?
Did they drill or?
We had drills, but it was a combat drills, where you had actually live animal
okay.
ammunition. And we did that.
But you weren't part of you were an overseer. You weren't part of the guys going through the training, were you?
No.
You were
I had been trained to do it.
Yeah. So, are you thinking ahead about getting out of the Marine Corps at this time?
Well, I signed up for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So, in 46, January of 46.
Your 4 years were up.
Yeah, my 4 years were up.
And that was, you were a corporal now?
Yeah.
And they muster you out then in Lejeune? You get discharged there?
Yeah.
So then, do they give you stuff, Did it get you either on a train or a bus back to,
back home to Michigan.
up to Michigan?
Yeah,
Okay, so in 44, you're out of the Marine Corps,
46.
or 46. It's still 3 years away from Korea, 4 years. So you're safe. You get home into Michigan and you go to work at something. What do you do?
I ended up with General Motors, but it didn't last very long. And I became a bartender at a sports bar in downtown
Are you at Pontiac still?
Pontiac. And one of the things that the baseball players and the taggers, in the wintertime, they come out to Pontiac and work in clothing stores and that. That's how much money they got for playing baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe that. Here's a guy, a star,
Yeah.
and he's working in a clothing store.
Well, they were, Ted Williams was in the Marine Corps in Korea, so some of them did get into combat.
Yeah.
So you're a bartender, and somewhere along the line you get married.
I got married in California after I left Pontiac from bartending. I come out to California and went to work for Hughes Aircraft or Hughes Electronics.
And when you applied to work for Hughes, what was your skill that you gave them?
What happened was I went to they were building some cars, whether it was Ford or something. I had a name to go to from the Elks. Was a former member of the Elks in Pontiac, and he was a general manager of a plant, auto plant, and I went. They told me to go see him, so I did, and he sent me to Hughes, and the guy that interviewed me was a former Marine, A.J. Penestri, and I hired in at $1.50 an hour. Imagine that.
Oh yeah.
$1.50 an hour. And I was under production control. Along the way, I kept stepping up and up, and I finally negotiated contracts. And it amazed me that
Yeah.
I've got guys I'm working against or working for me with college educations. I was out of place.
Yeah, but you probably knew more about what was going on than they did.
Well, a lot has to do with personality. I got along with people.
But you still haven't told me about when you got married now.
When I got married,
Yeah, where is all this falling out?
I fell in love with a girl that worked in production control.
At Hughes.
At Hughes, yeah. I was 29 and she was 21. And I was running a one little a guy built a little building in the back of his house, in the backyard, and rented it out. And that's what I rented a little room from him.
Now, you were living in San Diego or
When I was living in Culver City.
Culver City? Okay.
Yeah, and that's when I was working at Hughes.
Now, this is the girl. Was it 12 years? You said you were. She's your first wife.
Yeah,
And you said 12 years you were married to her?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, And then, yeah, 20 years.
And you had children,
And we divorced.
but you had children with her. You had
Three-
children?
I had the 3 kids, yeah.
Yeah.
And we
And-
divorced for
And their names were, what were the names of the 3 children?
Brian, Elizabeth, and Danielle.
And you mentioned they've all are deceased?
No, my brothers and sisters are deceased.
Okay.
My kids live in Tucson, Las Vegas, and Denver.
And which ones, in Tucson, is the boy, girl? Or
Boy,
the boy. And what does he do?
he's what's the name of the he's HIV.
Oh,
He he got a job. He left high school and took that test to get your
GED?
huh?
Or GED?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
High
Anyway,
school certificate?
and he said it's just boring as hell, Dad. High school. So, and he got a job as a part-time. He was working for nothing at one of the big record companies to learn the business. And then he got hired, and he ended up making $1 million a year.
Well, that's wonderful.
And he was a vice president.
Oh, wonderful.
But then he was in Europe, boozing. I don't think he's the girl,
Yeah.
but I think in a sexual contact,
With the girl.
yeah, he got HIV,
Wow.
and everything went to hell.
So is he
So,
still surviving that?
yeah, he's still he's doing pretty good. He can't work.
Sure.
He's sick.
Yeah.
He never feels good.
It's terrible.
Him and his dog.
Now you said one was in Las Vegas, was that?
No, he's in Tucson.
But the other one, you had one in,
I have my young daughter is in Vegas, and my older daughter is a school teacher in Denver.
the one in Las Vegas, what did she do?
I really don't know what she's got.
Sure.
They're having a hard time. I know that she has 2 jobs.
It's a tough town.
Yeah,
If you're not in the union up there, you're in trouble.
yeah,
Because all the hotels are union.
yeah.
So then, your wife of 20 years, are you still with Hughes when you separate?
Yeah, yeah.
And then what happens after that?
I started square dancing. I went to a beginner's course in square dancing for entertainment. And then the next year, and then I joined a club out in anyway, Thousand Oaks. And then the next year, I went to help out another beginner's course. That's the way we learn
In square dance?
to square dancing and round dancing. And that's where I met my second wife.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it lasted almost 40 years, till she died.
Now, at what point then, was she still alive when you moved here to the desert?
Yeah, she died just 3 years ago.
So you've been living here in what you said,
Palm Desert,
Palm Desert that whole time?
yeah.
And have you, are you here retired, or did you continue to do something?
No, I retired.
You retired.
I belong to the Monterey Country Club.
Did you retire then from Hughes?
Yeah.
You-
Well, I retired from Hughes, and we went to Colorado City for 1 year, and my wife didn't want the cold, didn't like the snow and that. And so we come back, and I went to work for Northrop for 5 years. I hired in it. I went 30 years with Hughes, and 5 years with Northrop.
What prompted you to come to Palm Desert?
That lady I was telling you about, that English lady,
Yeah.
I was in a hospital over in San Diego, and she called me and said that if, or didn't call me, if you want to see me, I'm staying out at some friend's home in Palm Springs. So I hitchhiked, which is part of my life.
Yeah.
I hitchhiked over the mountains
That's
in
funny.
1944.
And so you saw the area, and you liked it.
Yeah,
And that stayed up here in your
stayed
mind.
up. Stayed in my mind.
And so,
The weather was just beautiful. There was no Palm Desert then.
no.
Yeah.
So, you're a bachelor now in Palm Desert, is that it?
Yeah.
And what is your plans now? Are you just going to stay there, or you travel a little bit? Or?
No. If I open my eyes in the morning, I get up.
Yeah.
It's that way, you know.
You've had a nice life, you know.
Huh?
You've had a nice life. You
Oh,
know,
hell
and
yeah.
You've seen the good, you've seen the bad.
Yeah.
You've had a couple of wonderful ladies you were married to. And I've talked to a lot of people who were in World War II, and you've come out just fine. You
Yeah.
really have.
Yeah.
And
I feel good about my life.
now, do the kids come here to see it all?
Yeah, my daughter was just out. She teaches school, so whenever she has a week off, then she'll fly. Her daughter works at the airlines, and she can fly for nothing.
Yeah.
So she comes out and spends time with me. Brian, my son from Arizona, he comes every once in a while.
But he's sick, right?
But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, all these new medicines aren't helping.
well, he's alive.
Yeah, but it,
So it doesn't eradicate the problem. It just puts it down on a lower level.
yeah. Yeah, what a shame. Well,
He's a smart kid.
yeah.
When he's here, I always watch Jeopardy. And so I turn on, and he answers a hell of a lot of questions.
Well, Sam, I have not too much more to ask you on. If you have some things that you think back on, you'd like to get into this tape, you know, or maybe in discussing other things you wish you had said something about another experience, it's a good time now if you want to add any more to the end of the tape.
I'm all talked out.
You feel talked out, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you've been a great person to interview, and I
Well,
certainly want to thank you for coming. I enjoy every one I do. I just love doing it. And
well, you ask a lot of questions, I'll tell you that.
well,
How does that happen?
I-
What is the 4 stars for?
oh, that's every so many thousand hours of volunteer work, you get a star.
Oh,
And so in the 10 years I've been here, I've accumulated 4 stars.
oh,
But you sign in downstairs and you sign out. I can't ever remember to sign in or sign out. So I will probably never get a 5th star. I'm always forgetting that. I did remember today.
where did
though.
you come from?
East St. Louis, Illinois.
St. Louis.
East St. Louis, Illinois.
Oh,
What I'm going to do, just to say, I'm going to shake your hand here and thank you
thank you.
so
sir.
very much for coming.